Welcome, everyone. I'm Ivy Rivera. I'm a psychic medium, Italian Airwalk. This is Are You a Psychic, a Medium, or an Empath show, where I'm going to tell you what intuitive intelligence you have going on. You drop a $10 donation. You can ask any type of question, supernatural, paranormal, curious experiences. If you have something odd going on, you're not sure what ability it may be connected to, I'm going to break that down for you. If you don't have a specific question, you can also just leave it open-ended, and I will tell you what intuitive intelligence you have going on and what you can do with it. Now, if you would prefer to do this privately or get a little more undivided attention, you can go onto my website, ivyriverapsychicmedium.com, and click Intuitive Ability Assessment. I also do readings internationally. It's a super simple self-booking system. So wherever you are in the world, I'm sure there's a time slot available for you. So you can book any type of reading for that as well. So who do we have today? What's the first one? Crystal Gawanda, New York, psychic medium or empath. Okay, so just Crystal. I think Gawanda, New York is near me. I have a grandfather buried there. Psychic medium or empath for Crystal. If everyone could please give this video a thumbs up, drop a comment of any kind, especially letting me know where you're tuning in from. I would love to hear. And if any of this resonates with you today, please do leave a comment and subscribe. Crystal, what abilities does Crystal have? Well, you're reaching like level 3 for empathic ability, for sure. Feels like this has also been increasing in the last 2 to 3 weeks, which means you could have gone through something where it seems like you were around a male who was relatively ill. Sometimes when we're around someone who is going through a lot, whether we really know them personally or not, when you're a level 3-4 empath, you accidentally absorb from other people. And some of his energy may have touched in with yours. And what empaths tend to automatically do, it's involuntary even, is we start giving out the healing energy that's required. So it seems like you were pouring out toward a male energy in the last 2 to 3 weeks. And what this could have done for you is destabilize you a little bit. So if you've been noticing that the past few weeks you've been feeling a little bit more drained, maybe a little bit foggier or distracted, this can cause numbness in the mouth, tingling in the tongue, the lips, the hands. When we talk about being near someone who needs healing and it's coming or being drained out of the healer, it can also come through what we call in Reiki hot hands. So if your hands were like heating up or swelling or tingling, this can also happen with your feet. It's a sign that it's transferring out of you to others. I do think that going forward, you're going to want to be more mindful about this. Be deliberate. Check out my empathic awareness class to teach you how to control it, but be deliberate about the amount of energy you're giving out. Don't just let it be drained out of you. Don't just let it pour out of you. You should know who needs it, make the decision as to whether or not you're going to put it out there. And then after putting it out, you want to be able to cleanse yourself out and recoup your energy. You shouldn't just be like, open smorgasbord for everyone to come and eat like you're some kind of a, scarecrow buffet in the middle of the, harvest season. I think that the other thing really going on with you here is a lot of psychic ability. And this, can work well with your empathic ability if you can get that under control. You could use it for like medical intuitive, paranormal work. You can do all types of psychic surgery on people, animals even, and places. I'm hearing block removal. But the psychic ability really stands alone. And that's important to understand, that your psychic ability has sort of always been there. This may have peaked with you around 6 years old. Again, at 8 years old, between 9 and 10, you were using it regularly. I think this is coming back around. I don't know if you're like 32, something about a 2. So the last 2 year that you had here, this is another peak point with it, where maybe your discernment is on fire, deadlines, timelines, dates. You're incredibly accurate with your predictions, and you're going to want to learn how to polish up that detail, get a little bit more confident, leaning into your psychic ability, and then hopefully combine both of those. And it's kind of endless what you could do. But the most common thing to see people do is like readings or healings, okay, on others. But definitely that medical intuitive is coming up for you strong. All right. Thank you, Crystal. We're going to move on to another one. This is going to be for Alicia Fulvey. Alicia, and I don't see a question here, so I'm just going to tell Alicia what abilities she has. You may have had a grandmother who passed, who I'm hearing passed it down to you. It doesn't actually work that way. It's just a play on words. They like to talk in riddles. But it's true. There was a grandmother who passed, who would have, in a lot of ways, passed her mediumistic abilities down to you. This may look a lot like ear ringing in the left ear, in particular, a tinnitus, a feeling of pressure. This could look like random bouts of perfusive sweating. For you, it could also look like stomach upset or heart palpitations, anxiety attacks. I can't prescribe or diagnose, but these are things that are closely connected to mediumship. One of the abilities you have that you got directly from her is clairaudience. So within mediumship, if you recognize any of these physical cues, these activators, okay, that your mediumship has kicked in, that a spirit is nearby or trying to communicate with you, trying to communicate through you, you are going to notice that after the physical activation, the alert system has kicked in. You should pay attention to the thoughts that you're having, because the songs that pop in your head, the words that pop in your head, the thoughts that pop in your head, they're typically going to be in your own inner voice, but that's what the spirit is saying. That's what they're trying to relay through you, okay, or whatever, to you. And clairaudience is a tremendous ability. All my students want to have clairaudience, but it does tend to run in genetic lines. And if you don't have it naturally through the blood, there are things that we could do to increase it, but it's not as easy, okay, as what you have going on here. So just know it is a coveted ability. It's definitely something you want to entertain, but with balance, because when someone has clairaudience, unfortunately, they aren't just contacted by like spirits in the light, spirits in heaven, great energies of the universe who want to come through and do good work. They are used by all spirits, all energies. So we've got high vibration and low vibration coming in. This can lead to a certain type of like mental susceptibility, let's say, to negative thought patterns, toxic loop thinking, excessive overthinking, nightmares, even depressive thoughts or self-deprecation. So like if you were to ever go through bouts of time where you're thinking really bad things about your own self, and your life circumstances, or even other people, like real paranoid thinking about other people, it can be clairaudience going awry. So just make sure that you understand, as a medium and as a clairaudient, the abilities that you have to be mastered by you, or else it's just out of control. You're just you're susceptible. Humans are just energy, and humans are constantly manipulated by all types of spirits, unwittingly. Okay, so it's something you want to control, but it's a tremendous ability. I use it every day. I do readings all the time, and I love my clairaudient ability, because all I have to really do is sit back, and if spirit tells me things, I just say whatever they're telling me. I can hear it in my head. I just say it to the client, and I'm not even really doing anything. I'm just listening. Okay, so it's great to work with. All right, thank you, Alicia. We are going to move on to another one. Looks like we have Josie. Okay, Josie C. Josie C says, hi, Ivy. What abilities are you feeling with me? Hey, Josie. All right. So what does Josie have going on here? I would say psychic ability. Looks like level 2, 3. Empathic ability. Quite a lot of mediumship. Mediumship goes back the farthest into your past. And is that dad's side of the family? Yeah, dad's side of the family had it. Okay, interesting. You have a grandmother who used it quite a lot. You have a grandfather who also maybe it's like I went to war, saying like I went to war and I lived because I used it. Okay, so you have all of the abilities. When you're empathic, you're automatically psychic and mediumistic. That's a given, okay? But it doesn't always stand out a lot. Wow. Hi, mama. What you have going on here, um, I want to say with your mediumship is the strongest, but you may feel like your empathic ability is the strongest. So getting educated on the difference between the two is going to be important. They're not at all the same thing, even though they're connected. And when you start to notice that you are having more feelings, you're feeling other people's emotions, right? This is all connected to the empathic ability. You are experiencing what other people are stressed about, maybe even their physical ailments. You're experiencing those through clairsentience, physical impressions. Maybe if you're in a very stressful atmosphere or people around you are depressed, like work, that often happens, right? You're feeling like garbage. You're probably thinking that this is connected to your empathic ability, and to a degree it is, but your mediumship is increasing every time it's activated. So one of the things that you want to pay attention to is the separation of the two abilities. Okay, empathic ability, being able to feel other people's energy involuntarily, okay, and heal them as well. But mediumship is the channeling of spirits, the awareness of spirits around you, and spirits coming in to talk directly to you, them being drawn to you. So I think what you can expect going forward is more of what your grandfather was talking about here, where he said, for example, I was in a war and I was able to escape because of the mediumship. You have a grandmother here who talked about mediumship openly and all the time. Now, I'm not saying she didn't go to church or that you don't have some significant religious influence, in the family, but she never let it go. She never lost it. A lot of people abandon, their mediumistic roots when they join a culty religion, that only allows for the priests to use it, for example. I think that you being able to pass accurate judgment because your mediumship is increasing, you being able to make moves in your life that are significant levels up and or protection within divine timing, and assist others with the direction of their life, what to do and when, is what your grandfather's talking about here. So once he learned it in war, once you see it, you can't unsee it. Once it happened and saved him, it's like, it's a system you tend to use the rest of your life. You honor mediumship for what it is. So you're moving into more of that. And you want to be careful that everything you receive intuitively, you don't always credit back to your empathic ability. And a lot of people are doing that these days. I just want to add that in as a bit of a collective message. For those of you tuning in who you're always like, or I always see this every time I post an advertisement for this show, I've always got a bunch of dudes who come in the comment section and they just pellet it. They're like, well, I'm an empath. Well, I'm an empath. I'm an empath. Like everything isn't just empathic ability. That could be part of it maybe, but it's usually more psychic or mediumistic. We don't want to credit everything back there. All right, so let's move on to another one. This is going to be for Edgar. So Edgar says, would love to hear any messages right now about my abilities. I love hearing about them. Okay, so let's just see. What's coming up about. Looks like psychic ability is on the rise. So I would say in the next 3 weeks, and then there's talk of a month and a half, it'll peak again. So it's like peaking at 3 weeks. It's peaking at a month and a half. It's peaking again at 7 months out. You're going to want to pay attention to some significant increases you're having with your clairvoyance. Clairvoyance is the ability to accurately predict the past, the present, the future without being given any information whatsoever. It's also, just called psychic ability, or we would say like your third eye. This can come up for you increasingly in dreams. So I would expect to see more prophecy dreams. Make sure you're journaling. Make sure that before you roll over, get a drink of water, go pee, you write down the main symbology in the dream that you were having, and then open that up in the morning with your cup of coffee and, analyze what all of these messages mean, because what all of these symbols mean, because every symbol is a message. I think you're going to be piecing things together more accurately too with this in regards to timelines and when things are going to happen. Okay, so you're getting stronger in that. When we predict things like timelines, typically we are talking about psychic ability. You also seem to be using it more to find things. So let's just say you lost something at work in your briefcase, you know what I mean? Or you're like your man bag, you're finding it. It's like I'm finding it with my hand, but not with my eyes. I'm feeling energy and I'm finding things, right? Every woman, this is how you know you're psychic, okay, is when you go into your big abyss of a purse and you can find your lipstick, even though you didn't know where the heck it was and you're not even looking. This was in the Poltergeist movie. I think it was the first one with Carol Ann, the little girl with the long blonde hair. Her grandmother knew that she was psychic because she was picking yarn out. Her grandmother would say to her, hand me the red yarn. And the little girl wouldn't even look. She would reach to a bowl of yarn. Who remembers this? And she would hand her the red, and then she would say, hand me the blue. And she's laughing and talking with other people. She would hear her grandmother, and she would reach behind her and pull out the blue. Okay, you guys remember this? A couple people on TikTok anyways. Well, go back and watch that. It's just kind of interesting, Edgar. So essentially what you're doing is you're feeling out energy. This is connected to psychic ability, but you're feeling out energy through your hands and you're finding objects and things like this. Now, what this can transfer into, what's the use of something like that? Well, there are a million uses, but predominantly we're going to be talking about remote viewing. So we're going to be talking about criminal investigations, missing persons, paranormal work, medical intuitive. Okay. And then just like simple basic stuff, like your clients are going to be calling you and being like, where are my car keys? What happened to my ring? Did someone steal my earrings? Where's this? Where's that? It's a pretty big portion of what we end up doing, right? And so you could end up getting really good at that. So play with this stuff as it's coming up. All right, we're going to move on to another one. This is for Rachel True Colors said, are you in a different room? I am. No, you're imagining it. I am moving around this place and dealing with all of this technology drama for you guys, okay? Because you requested to see more of the house. So if I'm ever a huge witch, it could be because I'm moving so that you can get a different background every couple weeks. We have moved from the foyer to the first window in living room 1. Then we were in living room 3. And I am currently between 3 and 2 in front of the fireplace that I uncovered. I knew there was a fireplace hidden behind this wall. I could just feel it. And so it took us forever to uncover it, but we have officially done that. Next show I want to plug in this little fake fire I have here, and that should be cute. And so, yeah, this was an 1882 Victorian funeral home. So they would have had the caskets over here, and then people would have been seating all through here for the services. So, yep, this is our 4th spot. 4th spot in the tour around the world here of the house. Thank you for asking. Also, if you guys ever want to stay here, okay, we are on the Haunted History Trail of New York State, and you can always go onto my website, Ivy Rivera Psychic Medium.com. Sleep here, haunted sleepover experience, up to 25 of your friends, ghost hunts, historical tours, all the things. Right, next up is Mama Tori from TikTok. Am I psychic for Mama Tori? Okay, let's see what's going on. There's TikTok. Hi. All right. So what's going on with your psychic abilities? Well, you are highly psychic. You may prefer to, I see a lot of rings on your fingers. So, I mean, this could just mean that you have a lot of Gemini in your chart, but what I'm seeing here is like, what the heck is this? Turquoise? I'm looking at turquoise. And then I see black obsidian on another finger. I'm assuming this is symbolic, not literal. Take it how it resonates. But certain rings on certain fingers does suggest, in my symbol base, heightened psychic ability in a couple different areas, as well as protection and balance that you use through the use of jewelry, right, to accessories to balance the energies out. So you seem to know how to do this, whether you were taught this or you just do it by instinct. I think it's more instinctual. Now, I am watching you work with a pendulum, and then I'm watching you work with stones, crystals, runes, things like this, and tarot cards. So again, this could be literal that you're already doing some of this. It could also just be symbolic that these are the best ways for you to work. And I think it's the best way for you to use your psychic ability because it brings a certain visual experience that you seem to love to look at. And I think it's important when we do our work that we are enjoying ourselves, right? Like, who wants to show up and do that type of kind of heavy work with people who are always going through something? If you're not going to have a good time with it, I think that the rings, the nails, the accessories, the jewelry, even some bracelets that you may wear, especially like if you're really into like the tumbled stone, like jewelry. I see a lot of amethyst on you and rose quartz. And then something else that almost looks like, I heard tourmaline, but that's not even what I was going to say. So that's just spirit jumping in here. What's the one that a lot of people wear? Graphite something? It's like silver, it like pulls the negativity out. So there's a lot going on here with your hands. There's a lot going on with your words. There's a lot going on with your clairvoyance through the use of tools, not just for your own entertainment and feeling like you're playing with it a little bit more, but also for your audience. So if you would prefer to help people, give people readings, with some type of tool, it gives them something to look at other than like what I do, where I don't use any tools and it's just me rambling on all the time. It maybe spices it up a bit, but I do think that it's a buffer zone for you. It's a little bit of a safety net. If you're the type of person who's like, I don't know, I'm not always confident in my psychic abilities. I always regret when I don't listen to my gut instinct. I always pay a heavy price, yet I still have a tendency to shoot myself in the foot. I'm double-minded about it, using tools can help you to feel more secure, because if you were to say something wrong or you're off a little bit or somebody's questioning you, you could just sort of blame the tool. You know what I mean? I like this for you. I think you need to do more with it. I think you're absolutely psychic. I don't think you need a tool. Don't get me wrong. This is preference. I think you can do like I do, where I just sit and I just channel it. I just say it. I don't need a card. I don't need even spirit a lot of the time. I just know it. I think you can do that. I think you don't want to do that. And I think you should also look at how you want to use this ability for more serious things, because you could do really well in remote viewing, things like criminal investigations, missing persons, missing children, unsolved criminal cases. I think of the show with you, Medium. Patricia Arquette played somebody tell me in the comment section, what the heck is that lady's name? And Patricia Arquette plays in a show called Medium. It's old. A lady who worked with the police in criminal investigations and private investigators and stuff like that, finding people. And it's pretty accurate to how you operate psychically. Anyways, you may want to watch that. Somebody film. Who is that? Who am I talking about? Who knows what I'm talking about? It's based on it's a woman who she still works with the police doing this. A lot of people do, right? Behind every system under the sun are psychics, no doubt about it. All right, let's go into the next one. This is for Denise. What abilities do I have? Okay, Denise, this is unlimited tonight. So if you guys want to ask something open-ended about your abilities and then come back with like another question, you are certainly able to do that. Denise, what abilities? Well, I feel like you're holding yourself back a lot. It's not working. Your mediumship is increasing. Your psychic ability is increasing. You hit level 3 empathic ability like a year ago. Something happened 2 years ago. I can't prescribe diagnose, but this could have been health or mental health related, some type of peak in a stress encounter that led to an increase in your empathic ability. So empathic ability means you're an energy manipulator. You are needing to be in control of it, though, or it will sort of manipulate you, right? So it's overabsorption typically of other people's energy from atmospheres, objects, spirit. Check out my empathic awareness class on the website to learn more about controlling it. Now, when we go over here into the psychic and mediumistic stuff that's happening with you, I feel like this is rolling in together and it feels like it's picking up speed. You have a gentleman coming through, feels like grandfather energy, but he's saying dad. So take it how it resonates. He is talking about having this and having had to drink a lot because of it. It's not untrue. I think he cleaned up his act at some point, but the bottom line is this: when you have a lot of psychic and mediumship going on, because if you're a medium, you're automatically psychic, right? That's why we say psychic medium. Psychic ability can stand alone. That doesn't make a psychic a medium, but when you're a medium, you're automatically psychic as well. Okay. And when you have it in the way that you do, where the two are sort of developing almost simultaneously here, it can cause for some overload and maybe a desire to escape, a desire to not know anything more. I don't want to see anything more. I don't want to hear anything more. I don't want any more premonitions. As he knows, come on up here, mama. No, I think you should. Okay, I agree. When you are getting a lot, you can feel like, I have a gift and I want to return it to the store. This is a nuisance. And with you, it could look like the ear ringing in the left side for the, mediumship, ear ringing in the right side for the psychic ability, sometimes both ringing at the same time. Hearing it a lot when you're dozing off or waking up, when the veil is lifted between the worlds, 3 to 5:30 in the morning, the haunting hour. You could feel like you're bombarded in the middle of the day with like odd random messaging coming through. You're driving, you're trying to mind your own business. You're getting messages or flashes for the person in the car next to you. You're getting insights, when the phone's going to ring, when this is going to happen, when that's going to happen. It can make you wonder, like, what the hell is the point of all this? Well, the point is you're supposed to be using it and giving it out. You know what I mean? But if you're not fully doing that, it just looks random. But the biggest thing for you may be the messenger of death syndrome may be increasing alongside the mediumship. And that's an interesting combination here that you're going to want to pay attention to as we go forward. I want to say increasingly for the next 4 years or so, because when we have messenger of death syndrome, we're able to accurately predict world events, disease, if someone's going to get sick or have an injury, any type of trauma that's going to come up for somebody else, if they're going to pass away, stuff like this, ahead of time. And it can lead to some disruptive, it's like survivor's guilt, or feeling like, well, I saw it, so did I cause it? Or I saw it, should I have said something? So you're going to have to sort through all of that. Now, when you have that activating at the same time as mediumship, then you've got sometimes like the spirit of the person who's going to die talking to you from the spirit world while they're still alive. It's a freakish situation. I have that. Happens to me all the time. I'll think someone's dead and I'll freak out and they're not dead yet, or they're not even supposed to be dead at all. This is how I know, because they're talking from the spirit world, but they're fine. They're still here. Right? It's an illusion. It's an illusion that we're not all communicating as spirits all the time. That's what telepathy is. That's what having visits with other people in your dreams is. Working with people on other dimensions when you meditate, astral travel. That's all we do all the time, right? So you're going to have to figure out what's going on with that as it increases, I would say. But it's very useful for mediumship and for preventative purposes that go hand in hand with messenger of death syndrome. All right. Thank you, Denise. We're going to move on to another one. Anna Pekka. Okay. Anna Pekka. What abilities does Anna have going on right now? A lot of psychic ability, a lot of empathic ability coming out of your ears and coming out of your throat chakra, coming out of your mouth. That's interesting. Okay, so the left ear and the throat chakra. Psychic ability, I just see fun with the cards. Fun with the cards, fun with the toys, fun with games. So one of the things happening here, and then your mediumship is just sort of consistently increasing. Your mediumship is sort of steady right now. Okay, but I expect a consistent increase with that. Two big things that pop out here are, first of all, psychic ability for fun. That's a great way to build your psychic ability. Some people take it way too seriously. It's like, what if I'm wrong? Well, what if I give the wrong, you know what I mean? It's like, until people are paying you, what do you care if it's wrong? You know what I mean? Don't worry about it. Have fun with it. This is an opportunity for you to play literal games, or to do something like pick up the tarot cards or pick up a deck of playing cards and see if the predictions that you're making are true. You know, maybe almost like the memory game. You remember that? Like, keep them face down. Who knows what's under here? See if you could predict what cards are under there. That's how I got started as a kid, playing games like that with siblings. So it seems like you're accurately predicting. For example, if you laid some cards down, you'd be able to say, you know, the 9 of hearts is that one over there out of these 3 cards. It's over here. I can feel it. You're accurate. It's ridiculously good. You can use this for a ton of things, in particular, making accurate predictions about the future for yourself, for others, that can exclude complications like free will. Because when we talk about the future, we're talking about destiny charted future, which is like a fact that this thing is true, a fact that this thing is going to happen. And then when we talk about free will future, we don't know that it's going to happen. Most readers don't get that, and so they screw up a lot. But a prediction about the future is not guaranteed if it falls in a free will zone. So having this ability to know with 100% certainty where something lands, and when you're kind of thinking you're accurate and it's off in some way, okay, or you're overly confident and you were dead wrong, it's all going to help with you being able to decipher with predictions whether they're actually going to occur or they're falling in a free will zone. And they're what I like to call too many hands in the pot. We can't give a 100% guarantee on anything until we get closer to the timeline. So there's that. The other interesting thing here with your empathic ability with the left ear ringing, that is connected to mediumship. So know that your empathic ability is directly connected to your mediumistic ability and your throat chakra, which is just a suggestion here, you know, that you let it out, that you channel messages, that you are giving healing to people, because that's what empaths are doing, right? We're energy manipulators. Or you are trying to change circumstances, or you are manipulating things in some way that would best be done verbally. Okay, for you, not for everyone, but yes. Thank you, Anna. We are going to move on to another one. Who else do we have coming in here? Next one up is Anna Teresa 10. I just bought tarot. Oh, this is Anna. Okay, commenting on this. She said, I just bought tarot cards and have been asking questions randomly for fun. It's like I'm psychic or something. You see? And how would I know that if I hadn't played all those games too? It really does work. It's like, you know, have a good time with it. The best way, I think, to learn anything is just to toy around with it until you can sort of explain it, you know, in ways that tend to hit, become more accurate. You're polishing up then later your ability. I don't think that made any sense. That made sense in my head. All right, let's move on to another one. Tammy Jones, no questions, just curious about what abilities you see. Okay, Tammy Jones. What abilities does Tammy Jones have going on right now? Holy cow. So you got a lot going up at the crown. I'm not saying you had a near-death experience. You may have had the cord around the neck as a baby. I mean, let me know if you're aware. But like, there can be a humming, like a vibrating, that never goes away after something like this happens. And you've got that just slightly to the right side. So hopefully it's not irritating you, but it is a point of channeling energy from higher up, okay, from the universe, from spirit, from, you know, angels, healing entities, and things like this. So one of the things that you have going on is an ability to channel without any of the other abilities. And what I mean by that is, like, you're just kind of walking around, you're not even trying, and something is channeling through you in a positive way to like help someone else. So if you're the kind of person who's like, I don't know, I have to pay for the next person in the line at Tim Hortons, or like, I don't know, I have to go up to this homeless guy and give him $20, right? Which can seem excessive. It's like, I don't know what to tell you, but I have to take these clothes and go give them over to like the shelter, the church, someone who needs it. I don't know why, but I have to say this thing or give this thing or offer this thing, and right now, and it's almost like it's not you doing it, because channeling isn't, you're a participant, which is lovely. But it's something bigger than you, okay, for that other person working through you. The reward system is very high on that, I'm supposed to say to you as well. So if you notice that you have a horseshoe up your ass, you have sort of like a lottery aspect kind of life, like you can get hard. I'm not saying you don't get hit hard sometimes with bad luck, but your good luck is even better than your bad luck. If you ever wonder why that is, and why like other people can look at you and be like, what is going on with you? It is an abnormal amount. So the channeling is, again, something you're not even really fully participating in, other than doing these things, or allowing this energy to work through you. This, though, increasingly will be connected to your mediumistic ability. So I would say for the next 2 years, and something peaking at about 7 months out from now, starting in the 6th month from a man. I can't tell if this is like a grandfather, a father, a paternal energy, some dude around you. Okay. There's going to be some type of trigger going on, probably something he's going through. It doesn't really have much to do with you other than proximity, transfer of energy, a sort of ignition here, an igniting, okay, of this fire. Then what happens is your mediumship is increasing, and it's like left ear ringing, maybe heart palpitations, maybe some sweating, downloads that are full of detail, messaging, full on communication with spirit, versus this just channeling through me. I'm like a robot. I'm doing stuff, I'm doing good things. This is very different. This is where the language comes in. This is where the lost language, okay, comes in. And so I would expect more of it. I would do more with it. I wouldn't just let it, kind of seem like entertainment, or like it's, building. I would really ask yourself, especially if you are in a pattern of giving messages out to people, like, how can I take this to the next level? I think it's time for you to be seen and heard more. Because that's a little unique. Anyone else have and again, I'm not saying, Tammy, that you had near-death experience, or you had the cord around your neck, and I can't prescribe diagnose, but has anyone else, I would love to hear in the comment section. Thank you for the hearts on TikTok. Has anyone else had a near-death experience, or were you ever told that when you were a baby, you almost didn't make it? Were you in the NICU? Were you, did you have the cord around your neck? Did you ever like drown and were resuscitated? You know what I mean? Like anything nutty? Let me know in the comment section, and then let me know like what weird paranormal things happen, or what intuitive abilities you think you might have because of that, because that is really top tier, okay, light worker stuff here. We're going to move on to another one. So this is for Susanna Cruz. Hi, Ivy. I'm wondering if you could please tell me what my ability is. Okay, for Susanna Cruz. And remember, you guys, you can ask about any type of situations you've had where you're like, I wonder why that thing happened to me, or I wonder what this situation is all about. Anything like that also goes for tonight's show. And we are unlimited tonight, so you can ask as many things as you want. All right, Susanna Cruz. Susanna Cruz, what abilities? Definitely mediumship. You may have native roots. Yeah, this is unmistakable. I mean, this is the indigenous stuff. This is the good shit. This is like forever back. I mean, it's always been there, and it gets deeper with every generation. Although you may look at some of your cousins and like maybe your aunts or something and be like, would you skip a couple generations or something? Like just because people avoid it doesn't mean it isn't there. You know what I mean? But you seem to be the first one in a while who's really using it. So mediumship for you could look like spiritual work, energy work, healing practices, herbs, oils. It's almost like you're making up for a little lost time in the family line there. You are reconnecting with a grandmother. I see long braid in her hair, gray, long braid, thick hair. I don't know if this is Mexican. I'm trying to place this outfit. I want to say, a lot of Mexican ladies, I'm not saying you're Mexican per se, but it's like with the big flowers, very colorful flowers. I used to buy these off the streets of New York for like $15. These beautiful dresses that they make with the embroidered flowers around the edge. Yeah, and a couple on the dress. Like it's white, but there's like yellow and pink and red flowers on here. She's talking about oils. She's talking about herbs. She's talking about channeling spirit through these herbs. And like hitting with like I thought it was a feather, but it looks more like a branch of some kind or leaves, like a form of, like Native Americans, for example, would use a feather, okay, like a feather and sage. Whereas more like Caribbean, like I'm Taino Arawak, you know, your tribe, we're looking more at like leaves. We're looking more at, you know, trees and branches and things like this. It's a cleansing technique. I'm also seeing an egg yolk in like a lady's belly button. So this is fertility. Fertility rituals. This grandmother's coming back in to retrain you in some things that you seem to be interested in this life that would deeply involve mediumship when you offer healings to others. So what most people are getting into these days, the mainstream stuff, is Reiki, right? And that's been growing for the last like 15 years. What you're doing is old roots. What you're doing, potentially, I mean, if you choose to, is channeling not just universal energy like we do with Reiki, but you're channeling direct spirits that have karmic debt or contracts or interest in assisting the person you're healing. Okay. It's a different kind of power. It's phenomenal. It can lead to things like immediate miraculous healings. You know, this is about you getting back in touch with your healing abilities, as well as your interest in like plants, herbs, nutrition, food as medicine, getting away from things like clinical practices, big pharma, you know what I mean? And then the mediumship itself, all right, which may have been taken away from some people in your family, maybe due to religion, you know, cult-like practices like that strip us of our true roots, the truth, connection to the universe, you know, things like that. So you seem to be the one to want to bring it back. All right. Have fun with that, Susanna. Very exciting. Super shiny. I can't get this lighting right here. And it's like, I don't know how this video is going to end up looking. I'm this close to quitting. This spot is not easy for lighting, people. Bear with me. Let's see where we are now. Who else do we have coming in? What is Christina Hernandez saying? Diana, can you pop that up? Christina Hernandez says, I had an umbilical cord wrapped around my neck when I was born. And when I was a kid, I used to feel like someone was always petting my head. That's what I'm talking about. Okay. With that weird vibrating while I was sleeping. I don't know if that was my crown chakra. Well, it is, because when we're talking about the crown, you know, granted, if you're doing something like a chakra cleansing, you're going to look at a picture and they're going to talk about it being like right here. Okay. But the reality is it's anything around here feeling peculiar, like you said, patting. I've heard people say that. I've heard people say like, yes, like a petting, a stroking, a vibrating, a tingling. Some people even get almost like a weird noise, like a frequency that they can't quite pinpoint. And it could be anywhere up here. So that makes a lot of sense. Thank you for sharing that, Christina. Okay. Wow. Christina Hernandez. Okay, what abilities does Christina have? Okay, so let's get right into yours. Christina Hernandez abilities. Well, I mean, you have all of the abilities going on. I want to say mediumship is probably strongest with you, but your psychic ability seems to be where you want to place your attention, your energy. I have you being very affectionate with a deck of like, what are they called? They're not tarot cards. They're, the hell are these things called? Whatever. They're cards. Okay. And they have like art on them, but no words. And I see you getting very friendly with that and being like, this is the gateway. Like, this is what I needed. Maybe you've been feeling the last 6 to 8 months like you need some type of tool that can help you to really feel more connected to spirit. Like maybe all your old tools weren't working, or all your old skills weren't really working, or you fell out for a while and you weren't really tapping in with your intuition the way you were supposed to be. Right? Or you stopped offering readings or healings to others or whatever. There seems to be a break here. And I think that you've been looking to sort of get back on track, but it's through this deck. Oracle cards, that's what they're called, oracle cards. It's through this deck. Whether you buy this for yourself or spirit sort of gifts it to you, it may literally cross your path. I'm also seeing a like a vendor's fair. So it could also be like some type of spiritual fair, or like where there are readers or vendors, or a lot of spiritual products are being sold. It could also happen in an atmosphere like that. But I think it's time for you to come off of, if you've had a little bit of an addiction to like crystals and stones and using a lot of other random tools to make you feel more secure and like increasing your abilities. And so you really don't need it. You don't need any of this. Okay. You've got what it takes. It just is going to take a little more self-discipline out of you if you want to really take it up to the next level and be like offering, healings and readings and things to people on a regular basis. I do think it's important to just don't forget the basics on that, which is show up. Okay, you got to show up, like the business end of it almost. This increase with your psychic ability seems to lead directly into two different avenues. And you're probably not going to like to hear this, but I don't think you're going to be surprised by this at all. One does look very paranormal. That can mean that you are called to do exorcisms, house cleansings, help people get rid of attachments. This could be helping people to get out of toxic like relationships where they're living with someone who's pulling in a lot of paranormal activity. Most people who have a haunted house, it's not the house that's haunted, it's the people that are haunted. And it's usually not the one who calls for help. It's usually somebody they're living with who's causing the problem. They are the paranormal problem. They are feeding the negativity. Okay. And it's affecting everyone. Fish is belly up, the dog's peeing in the house, the kids are having nightmares, right? It's just everything falling apart because it's one individual. You seem to have a certain ministry or client base of people who want to get out of those types of circumstances. And your guides just said prone. Okay. So you're prone to it. Okay. You're prone to being gifted. Congrats. That, you don't seem to want to do it. I don't blame you. I do think it's important to do it and to be of service and to learn what you need to learn to gain more confidence, and then to have balance with it. Okay. Because it also looks like you could be, having a lot of, more fun, or I guess lighter work in medical intuitive, okay, healing work and things like that. Yeah, remote viewing, and I see a lot of flipping cards here. Now, these do look like tarot cards to me. So you may also want to channel some of it in a more fun way, okay, into tarot reads. Okay. Fun for sure. Love it. You guys are making me want. You're welcome, Susanna. Making me want to get a tarot reading. I'm hooked. I'm absolutely addicted to them. I don't know what I'm looking at, but I love the artwork. All right. Andrea Winter. Let's move on to Andrea Winter. I've had awareness of some abilities in the last 6 months. I don't understand them. Could you tell me what specific abilities I really have? I feel overwhelmed with a jolt of possibilities without the ability to understand it. Yes. Okay. So the first thing going on with you, it does look like you have moved into the upper levels of empathic ability. So you've hit a level 3-4 situation here. You can check out the empathic awareness training on my website. Now, I break down all 4 levels. When you hit levels 3-4, 2 new things happen. So you have an increase potentially in things like sleep disturbances. You may wake up between 3 and 5:30 in the morning, the haunting hour more. You may be susceptible to like stomach irritation, headaches, ear ringing, anxiety or heart palpitations and things like this. But primarily, what you're looking at is an increase in your ability to manipulate energy, which also means that you are going to be more manipulated by energy, because empathic ability, when it's raw and unfiltered, unchecked, it's just running rampant. So what you're really doing is absorbing from atmospheres, spirits, objects, other human beings. And the two new abilities that you develop when you enter into the third and fourth levels are telepathy and electric person syndrome. So, and when you guys ask me like, oh, well, I should Google that, how come I can't find anything on it? Because those are my terms. Okay. So you're probably not going to find anything on it, but people are aware of it for sure, especially in the neurospicy community a little bit more. But anyways, when we talk about having electric person syndrome, we're thinking of things like the movie Carrie. So when Carrie in the movie would get really excited or she would be really furious, right? Shit was burning down. I mean, everything was like blowing up. Well, that's empathic ability just kind of gone awry. So you could shut down computer systems. You could blow out light bulbs. Maybe you can't keep a watch anymore. You're draining the battery on your watch. Right? Your phone starts acting up. You can fully charge a phone. You can fully drain a phone. I've seen people pick up shattered light bulbs and they light up in their freaking hand. Okay. Like it's insane. It's something that you need to master, because with this ability comes great responsibility. And whenever you go into a room, whenever you enter into a new situation, that situation is going to take on your energy. So we need to be mindful about what we're trying to accomplish. The other thing you develop is telepathy. Telepathy, I didn't make that up, obviously, but the ability to hear other people's thoughts. It can start with paranoid thinking. Maybe so-and-so's out to get me, or why am I thinking bad about people, or da-da-da-da-da. Do they have ill intentions? And you can increasingly pick up on what people are thinking, not just through proximity, but even through like the computer, the phone, long distances. They don't have to be anywhere near you. You just know, you can hear their thoughts. It'll typically sound as though it's your own inner voice. Now, with an increase in empathic ability, because empaths are automatically psychic and mediumistic, you've had an increase in psychic ability and mediumship as well. So, it can lead to a lot of confusion. It can be like, what am I supposed to do with all of this? The first thing to do is to always get educated on how all three of these are completely different things. They run on completely different energy systems. They communicate through totally different languages, with mediumship being the most complicated, breaking down into many layers. And typically with this, you're going to get activated in one area and then get activated in all three. Okay, the way it looks for you. So start with education. What's the difference between the three? And then how do I want to use this? You cannot put that genie back in a bottle. Just remember that. Okay. So these abilities will continuously increase. And every time you level up, you're going to have to learn how to control the abilities again at the new level. But we can't reverse them, and we can't block them, and we can't shove them down. You can control them, but you can't completely block them. Okay. I also want to say, and this is a general message for everyone. If you hear me mention, or it resonates with you as a collective message, maybe that we are going to go through some intuition increases, there's a free mini class on my YouTube here at Ask Ivy, the medium, called, I think I just called it Intuitive Increases. I don't think I was very creative with that. Okay, so put it in the search bar, Intuitive Increases, and it'll be, it's probably an hour and a half, maybe it's 2 hours, but a show where I break down all the different reasons that you may all of a sudden wake up one day and have a tremendous increase in your abilities. Okay, including things like pregnancy, childbirth, death of a loved one, having a surgery. All right, thank you. We're going to move on to another one. Thank you for the hype. Banji, I love it. Yes, I always forget to ask because it's new and I don't honestly fully understand what the heck it is, but I love the button. So if you are on YouTube, please hit the hype button. Wherever you guys are tuning in from, please give this video a thumbs up. At this time, please do share it. Thank you for the hearts on TikTok. Drop a comment of any kind. It helps me out in the algorithm. Also, I would love to hear where you're tuning in from. Okay, and if any of this is resonating with you, please let me know. Give a little testimonial here. Also, just a reminder, if you guys want to book this privately, you can go onto my website, Ivy Rivera Psychic Medium.com, and click Intuitive Ability Assessment. All right, we're going to move on to another one. Mama Tori said mediumship too. How do I use it? Or am I already and I don't know? Okay. So let's look into Mama Tori, mediumship. How do I use it, or am I already and I don't know? Okay. Is she using it and she doesn't know? Well, for sure. I mean, it definitely looks like you're not. A lot of mediums don't know that. A lot of mediums don't even believe in mediumship, but spirit doesn't care whether you believe or not, right? If spirit wants to channel something out to someone, they're going to pick a medium and they're going to use them. It's what the old timers would call trance mediumship or physical mediumship, right? This is what they did in the like 1800s, the early 1900s, Victorian times, where a medium would go up on stage and they would just channel like a deceased scientist or, a doctor or whatever for hours. People buy tickets to watch. It's like, you do it and you don't even know you're doing it. When you're in a trance state, you also have no recollection of it. Okay. So I call it psychic amnesia. So whenever my clients call and they're like, oh, you read me last month and this and that and the other, I'm like, I have no recollection of that. We can't go back there. We're going to have to start over. For me, it's like starting over, because when you're in a trance state, you have no recollection of the things that happened or what you said or what you were thinking. It's like it never happened. It's insane. So it is definitely something you're doing without even remembering that you're doing. I do think that you want to get more deliberate with this. I'm not saying you do. I'm saying you should, right? Get more deliberate in being able to sit down and say to spirit, I'm ready. What messages do you want to give me? I don't recommend doing that until you have some people to give readings to, or some people to give healings to, a client base, people who are waiting and ready. Don't just toy with it too much. It's already a little bit off the rails. But I think that if you have some people who are open and willing, interested in receiving messages, I think you need to more deliberately sit down and say, I am dedicating the next 20 minutes to, Diana, can you take that down? Thank you. I am dedicating the, next like 20 minutes to channeling messages for you, and allow yourself to get comfortable with the new language. Allow yourself to talk directly with spirit and ask questions. If they are trying to deliver a message, for example, and they're just using a bunch of symbology and you're like, what the heck does that mean? Slow your roll, take the time to get in-depth messaging for your client, and don't rush the process. Learn how it feels to communicate with different types of spirits, and learn how your body reacts to different types of spirits. Are you getting the ear ringing? Are you getting clairsentience, like physical impressions in your body? Are the words coming in your head? Are they showing you visions? How are you getting this information? So it starts through awareness and a willingness to show up and just kind of play around with it. I said at the beginning, before we started the show, the psychic mediumship course is open. We have 2 more seats. I could fit about 2 more people in there. So maybe you want to go through a full training or you just want to toy around for a while. I would just say this, be careful that when you're done with it, you turn it off. Okay, so it's not Grand Central Station, spirits coming to you constantly. Because not all of that is useful. Sounds lovely, right? But like, right, they're still humans. They're still going to have a lot to say, and we can only give so much. Boundaries are key. Okay. We are going to move on to another one. What else do we have going on? Did I lose you, Diana? Where are you? We have Virginia. We got, okay, Tiffany Williams. Thank you. Tiffany Williams is next. Okay, Tiffany, what abilities are coming up with you? Psychic ability and the throat chakra. So we need to gain a little more confidence in your ability to understand the psychic messaging you get is accurate, is worth giving out, is helpful for other people. When you have not followed it in your own life, you have paid a heavy price. So that's how you know it's accurate and valuable, right? I think you need to work on your throat chakra a little bit more. So your ability to how do I want to say this? Improve upon, polish up your skills is directly connected to your willingness to give it out, to talk about it, to share those visions, those prophecies, those insights. And I think a lot of it can also be between you and you. So one of the tricks I used to use when I was first working with the public, and I had not planned on working with the public, and my degree was in journalism, and I was like, what? I can't be doing this. And it ended up being this whole drama. You know, I was like, well, if I'm going to be doing this work for the public, I better be pretty freaking accurate. Okay. So I started keeping these logs. I started keeping these little notebooks, little composition notebooks. They make them, you put them in your purse, you put them in your car, you put them in your back pocket, keep them in your, you know what I mean? I had these little notebooks everywhere, and I would test out things I was getting randomly psychically that seemed relatively useless, but I was going to be able to prove them later. Like maybe something about the weather, or something about traffic, or a world event, or something about so-and-so has this new boyfriend, and I think it's only going to last 3 weeks before he does something dirty. You know what I mean? It's like I would just jot all of this down, and then I would check back on it to see if my accuracy rate was really there and other areas where it needed to improve. You know, an area that you may need to look at, this came up with somebody else earlier a little bit, but it's the difference between destiny charted future and free will future. So we can sometimes make a prediction and it like doesn't happen, or it doesn't happen in exactly the way we thought, or exactly, you know, at that time, or involving those same people, the details can move and we will lose confidence. We will say, you know, I predicted this thing, it didn't happen, or it doesn't look like what it originally did. And like, I don't know how I screwed that up. You didn't screw it up. You didn't. This is the difference between what is written in the stars. It is in the astrology. It's in the numerology, right? It's in a life contract. It's contracted. It can be predicted with 100% guarantee because it is destiny charted. It is going to occur versus something that's going to happen in the future, but it's in a free will zone. All right. So when I say there are too many hands in the pot, what I mean is that like every individual involved in the situation has free will. And as they use that free will, this shit will move. It'll shift. It may not happen at all. You know, we don't know 100% if it's going to happen, or even if we do, we don't know exactly how it's going to happen, when it's going to happen. And it's chaotic. You can't put that kind of pressure on yourself to get it right 100% of the time. And you know, that is usually, I want to say for you in particular, that's because you have to understand what is free will and what is destiny charted. It's not that your predictions were wrong. It's that they could have fallen in the wrong category. All right. So work on that a bit more. All right. We have hello, Sapphire Yawns, Cliche. Haven't seen you in a while, Cliche. I hope to see you back. I don't know if you're on the open opportunities chat and stuff. Okay. But I would love to see you back on there. We are doing last call. So if anyone else wants to drop their $10 donation, ask their question, it is unlimited tonight. And I can tell you what intuitive abilities you have or what these weird experiences you're having are connected to. Can you pop back up? What was that, Christina? Okay, this is Christina Hernandez is saying in response, she already got her reading. She said, thank you, Ivy. I appreciate you. And yes, you're right. It does scare me sometimes. I'm afraid of seeing things physically. Oh, okay. So yeah. So seeing things, physically can also be somewhat controlled. You definitely, as you increase your abilities, you don't want to feed that. And all you can really do is say like, I don't want to see. And you could talk to your joy guide who watches over your spiritual development, your mental and emotional well-being. You can also talk to your protector guide about having very strict guidelines on this. So tell them to help you, please, and make sure that you explain that instead of seeing things with your actual eyes, you want to see it in your mind's eye. Okay? Because when we were kids, we all saw full body apparition, everything with our physical eyes. And then at around 5 or 6, that starts to change as different parts of the brain develop. But when you tap back in with your abilities or you have an increase, you could start to see again. And a lot of people don't like that. And it's not necessary to do a good reading. Okay. Okay. So we're waiting on Cliche. Is Cliche next? So we've got a couple more people donating and getting their questions in. So we're just going to sort of wait on that. Just a reminder that you guys can, if you're interested, register now for the Reiki course, Yusui Ryoho Tradition and Psychic Surgery. I am training levels 1, 2, so beginners. Or if you're looking for your masters, that's all going to be March 14th. Okay. And registration is now open. A couple people were like, when does that close? Don't wait till the last minute because with Reiki, it's a 6-hour day. I close that registration out probably a week before the class. So if you're thinking of registering, get to that soon. Would love to have you. Cliche says, I took a hit to my confidence and working with spirits. Probably for a silly reason. Okay, so you want to know what you can do about that? She said, ignore my question if it's silly. No, it's not silly. I think that a couple different things can happen here when you take a hit, to your sense of accuracy or true connection, to spirit. Your psychic ability. I don't think you're having any issues with your empathic ability, but it may be your psychic stuff and your mediumistic stuff that I feel you wavering on here. I don't know too, if you read someone you shouldn't have. I mean, I tell you guys not to read people for the first year to a year and a half after you graduate. I don't think you're at that mark yet. I don't know. Maybe you are. I know you were in the psychic mediumship course not long ago. You want to be careful. Okay, just make sure you're careful about who you read. If this didn't already happen, I mean, I feel like it did, but it could be happening again, okay, because it's still coming up here to the future. Be careful that you're not reading people read clients, read people who want to donate, read people who want to trade, read the public, be of service to people, of course, but stay away from people and go back over your notes from class as to why I say that. Toxic, bad idea will strip you of everything you thought you knew, okay? We also see some energy here with you where it's like you tripped your own self up. This could have been due to a relationship or some changes you were going through personally, where you kind of set a divide between you and spirit. Maybe you felt like spirit was sort of abandoning you, or, spirit wasn't giving you as much instruction as they normally do. You couldn't really reconnect through something simple like a meditation like you used to be able to. And there may have been some changes that you needed to make. And you could have felt a bit of a discord there because spirit does tend to tell us 3 times and then pull away, but I think that what's happening now is, you're clearing that out. You're realizing that it's often you, like you are the block, you are what's in the way of this connection. It's not that spirit isn't there and available and coming around. It's not that your psychic ability isn't spot on. It's just that sometimes you may be negating it more than what you should have. I do think the other thing with you is falling out of practice. Okay, so I always warn you guys in class that the worst thing you could really do, right, after reading people you know, is just not reading at all. Not giving readings on a regular basis, at least 3 to 4 times a week. Okay. And it can rattle you so that when you try to get back into it, you know, you're feeling like starting from scratch, like the flow is just not there. Okay. And this is sort of I want to say cliches message here because I am feeling a collective message coming up. How do I want to say this? If you ever used to give readings of any kind, and you fell out for personal stuff, and you felt like no matter what you did, you couldn't get back in, it's because you're not doing enough of them. The trick to getting back in is to do 3 to 4 in a row. We're talking back to back to back to back. So I don't care if you have to give the shit away for free. Okay. Be of service then. Give it to people who need it by all means, but you got to show up. You've got to do more than one here and one there. And you know what I mean? Sort of something casual over here on lunch, you know, where it's conversational even. No. You need to do 3 to 4 at least in a row. And you need to be doing it again, I would say at least 3 times a week. I mean, that would be great. You know, that's going to keep you in the flow and in the rhythm. Cliche, I don't know what the hell this is about, but I'm also hearing you need to be barefoot in the yard. You need to be like earthing. Okay. So try to be more in touch with nature. It feels like you can kind of pull that off where you live. Okay. So maybe it's not like free. I'd be in 6 feet of snow out here. I'd die. But you know, it seems like you could kind of pull this off. So how much can you get barefoot and just stand in nature and not do anything? You're not asking spirit for anything. You're not expecting anything of yourself. You're just connecting. Okay. You're just standing there. Give it 5 minutes, 5 minutes. Yeah, so I think you need to get back into a rhythm. I do wonder if you're picking up tarot cards as well. I wonder if that would be good for you. What is this deck? It almost looks like a Rider-Waite deck, but it's like opposite, or it's black and white, or everything is like a black background with stars and moons like popping out of it. If there's a deck that you're drawn to, it doesn't have to be Rider-Waite. I mean, I don't know what I'm talking about, but it's like images of the sky, a lot of that symbology of almost astrology like theme, and very, I keep hearing Art Deco too, or like, and what is this? This is like The Great Gatsby. I'm trying to think of the references here. There's something about the artwork that is definitely unique to any of the decks I've seen. You seem to resonate with something like this, and maybe you should have a little more fun with it like that. Okay, to get yourself back in the rhythm. All right. So Sapphire Yawns. So this is cliche who I was just reading, says, someone told me that if I struggle removing entities, then I wasn't supposed to. That doesn't, be careful who you talk to. Okay. You don't have entities. So, I mean, book a paraconsult with me if you feel like you need extra help on that, but you're okay. You're good to go. Okay. We would have noticed that. Like, that's not happening. Not that I try. I just keep coming across attachments. Oh, right. So, you know, I mean, a lot of people have attachments. It's something you can help them with. Doesn't mean you're going to take it in onto you. And it doesn't mean even if you've ever had these problems, and I'm not saying that you do right now, but even if you ever have had them, most people have them at some point throughout life. It's not that big of a deal. So some people like to act to keep the hierarchy in place. Like if you ever go through stress, or if you ever had an attachment, or if you ever go through illness or whatever, you shouldn't be doing readings, and that's ridiculous. They're just trying to get that cash. Okay. She said, thank you so much. You are so welcome. It's so good to see you again. All right. And do we have any more, or are we at time? Just a reminder to everyone too, that I started a series on friendship. There's been a lot of questions about why we're struggling to make friends, how to make decent friends, anxiety around new relationships, even love partnerships, and this and that and the other. And I thought it was time to do a series on friendship. I launched the first video the other day. I'm going to be putting out another one tonight and keep it going. So check that out. And please do comment on questions. Okay, so I'm doing a lot of the videos are going to be based on questions you guys are asking to help you along with friendship questions. So we will be back. Let me think of what's going on here. The next show is pet readings, I believe, right? Thank you, Diana. So we have pet readings coming up. No, that can't be Saturday. I wouldn't have done that to myself. That's got to be Sunday. Oh, it is Sunday. Yes. Okay. Sorry. I'm reading that wrong. Okay. So you could pop that down. So Sunday, we're doing pet readings. This is for your living or deceased pet. It's my pet psychic show. You can get your early questions in now. It is going to be unlimited. So you can ask about as many pets as you like. And that's going to be if you have a pet where you're concerned about maybe their past, their behavior, their health stuff. Maybe you just want to know what they're thinking or what they need. Okay. And then, of course, if you have past pets, to channel. And it's a ton of fun and it's very touching. I love the show. You guys voted it in for the 2026 lineup. So here we will be back on Sunday. All right. Thanks so much, Diana. Thank you, Spirit. Thank you, everyone, for tuning in. See you next time.